We've got Pee Wee Herman here in the studio today. Going on. This is our sound check portion, people. How do we sound?
I used to be able to do it at Pee Wee Herman.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised to hear that.
Yeah. I can't. I'm trying to think of how I did it. And it's, nope. Not there. Not there. Do have the my bike. I have to work to get there.
Yeah. Probably take some practice. All right, we've got the Jensens in the chat. Let us know how we sound, guys.
Yes. Sadly, Lunar Girl will not be with us until later, so we're going to rely on the Jensen brothers to tell us how we're doing.
Correct.
How we sound.
I may just do random resets of my mic whenever I'm not talking, just
to
make sure.
Nick might be on.
Okay. And Kristen will sometimes text me too and be like, "Hey, can't hear you."
Okay, we got positive confirmation.
Yeah. All right.
No special how you doing today, right? Just a normal
video now. Just the normal countdown. That's good stuff.
I am going to do not disturb on the old telephone.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm ready when you are.
All right, let's do it.
All right, here we go. To Willis Carrier.
Willis Carrier. Okay, you're going to have to elaborate on that one because I have no idea who the fuck that is.
Willis Carrier is the inventor of the air conditioning.
Oh, yes.
So I will say, as Rail would say, no pleasure, no rapture, no exquisite sin greater than central air.
Fucking right.
This is the case because our friends on the West Coast are going through what Bronco Fett described as the surface of the sun.
Yeah.
Otherwise, hell on earth.
Mm-hmm. As is my family in California, or they just recently went through it.
Yeah, and friends of ours that we used to fly with, they're up in Washington State. Like even up in the mountains, they're getting 100-degree temperatures.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy. It really is. So, thankfully, we are lucky that we have central air available. And that's all thanks to Willis Carrier. So.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. You will be remembered forever.
1902.
Damn. Nice.
Yep.
All right. Well, that being said, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sidebar Cantina, the podcast where we talk about Star Wars, pop culture, pedophilia, or anything else we want to talk about. I'm Mr. Jason Roscom. With me here each and every single week, the Darth Vader to my Palpatine, Dave Martin. Hello, Dave.
Hello, Jason.
How are you?
I'm processing the introduction.
You know what I was going to say? What's the foot doctor? Podiatrist? See, I was going to say podiatry, but for some reason I went
pedophilia.
It's like, okay, that's
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, we're not going to talk about the Irish, and we're not going to talk about pedophilia.
But what are we talking about today?
We are talking about Chappelle Show.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Woo-hoo! Yes, this is the second episode of Chappelle Show that we're covering. We're covering 3 episodes from season 1, episodes 4, 5, and 6. Some good stuff in there. A lot of commentary that we're going to have on these episodes. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, we are coming up on the Independence Day week.
Yes.
And as we've mentioned in previous weeks, we are not going to record next week.
Right.
So we're both beating feet out of town, and we're just taking a week off. So if you...
Vacation.
It's all we ever wanted.
I'm not doing it. Anyway, yes, vacation. We're going on vacation. We're taking a week off. So, Yeah, listen to past episodes.
Yep.
And you will do it.
And you will do it. Or go check out our buddies at the Escape
Oh,
Pod
yeah.
or the Use and Abuse podcast. Sweet Studios. We got all kinds of friends that'll
Yes.
fill that gap while we're
Yes.
gone.
But not pedophilia.
No.
Anyway,
I lost my phone.
you were charging it.
That's
Because
right.
you're going to go into our segment of
This or That.
yes,
Where every week our social media director, Lunar Girl, gives 2 poll options. You pick one and we go over the results here on the show. And it is a TV week. So let me pull up the
and yeah, unfortunately, Luna Girl is not in the chat, lighting up the chat like she does, and we can't thank her enough for everything she's doing with our social media. Yeah, it's been great. I know we've got new listeners because of it, and I'm really grateful.
Yes. All right. So the first option we have this week, it's all TV themed.
Right.
It's Scare Tactics versus Punked. I never liked Punked. It seemed very, I mean, most reality shows are not 100% real, and Punked more than any of them seemed like it's like, okay, I don't know how real this actually is. But Scare Tactics, same kind of thing. I don't 100% believe that it was like all legit,
Right.
but I like the concept more. You're like scaring people like fucking Bigfoots or fucking zombies, and you know you're doing that kind of a
like
theme,
jump scare type shit.
Yeah, as opposed to getting a celebrity and like hitting him with a fucking $30,000 bar bill or something. It's like,
was that one of the things?
It was, yeah. Or
I don't know. Punked was big enough for its time to develop it into the vernacular. Right. So what do you say when something like that happens? Like, oh, you got punked. Right. That's part of the vernacular. So I liked Punked just a little bit more than I liked the other show. And I don't watch TV. I mean, let's caveat this. Every one of these, like, I could not live or die by. I could really give a shit. So it was very like semi-judgmental based on title alone.
Sure.
But that's my thing. That's what I do.
All right. And Punked won pretty handily, 70% to 30%.
I think the ladies just like that shit Kutcher more.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, in the original, in the poll, Luna Girl put the Tracy Morgan on the picture for Scare Tactics, but he wasn't the original host. Shannon Doherty was the original host of Scare Tactics.
Right.
The first like season or two. But
very good.
Yeah, fun little fact.
Fun facts with Jason.
This is a good one. Most Extreme Elimination Challenge or Last Comic Standing. So I've never watched Last Comic Standing, but I remember Most Extreme Elimination Challenge.
Really, see, I'm the exact opposite.
Okay, because
I remember Last Comic Standing because that's one of the things that Kathy and I like. That's of all the things that we differ on, like opinion wise, for movies and shit like that. We're into stand-up comedians, so watching like stand-up comedy in that form is something that we enjoyed.
Yeah. Well, I just remember the early 2000s Most Extreme Elimination Challenge being a thing. And I remember this was around the time we had our first TiVo and we recorded. And it was fucking hilarious because you had these comedic commentators kind of overdubbing the commentary to what's going on. Because obviously they're not commenting on it live. It's some, Japanese like extreme elimination show that they took the footage from. And these guys like MST 3000 kind of overdubbed commentary on it. It was fucking hilarious.
So sidebar, have you ever seen the Marble Olympics?
Never heard of that
on YouTube. My cousin Rick turned me on to it. It's fucking hilarious. So it's basically marbles on like Lego tracks, and they race, and there's a commentator for the race. So they're doing commentation like if you were watching the event in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And it's like actual marbles going and rolling through this thing, but they all have like, they're all color coded with the type of marble that it is, and they have their own fan sections and shit like that. They have a little fucking, podium and everything afterwards. And I think it was sponsored by, at one point, the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. I think that's one of the things that they advertised during it.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty good. If you're looking for YouTube, just randomness that you can get sucked into for about 5-10 minutes, search the Marble Olympics.
Okay. Be worth a shot. But MXC, Most Extreme Elimination Challenge, won 54% to 46%. Now I do see
Close ones.
Anthony Jeselnik on the cover of this Last Comic Standing. He is a fucking hilarious comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of those guys that's kind of like Dave Chappelle, where in today's environment, he's probably, not the most popular guy out there, but he doesn't give a fuck. And he still does his brand of comedy no matter what.
Yep.
So I didn't vote on this next one because I've never watched either of these shows. That is Mythbusters versus Penn and Teller bullshit.
You've never watched Mythbusters?
No, I think I've seen little clips here and there.
We've had this conversation before.
Yeah,
about Mythbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Mythbusters 110%. However, that Penn and Teller bullshit show was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but Mythbusters is the king. And
the poll results show that 81% for Mythbusters.
So there was some great Mythbusters episode. We should do an episode just on Mythbusters.
I'd have to watch the show.
Well, if we gave you like the top 10 Mythbusters like episodes, as given by our audience or whoever, right? Yeah. And then we just watch the top 10 of them and then talk about those.
Okay.
We could do that.
It's still a lot. That's like, because they're probably an hour each.
It's like, I think they're only half hours.
All right.
And there's different sections to it too. But yeah, Mythbusters is a great fucking show.
Well, we'll put a pin in that and come back to it later. Next one, a very strange animated contest. Teen Titans versus Clone Wars. Now, this is the original animated Clone Wars with the old Samurai Jack animator.
Right.
And still, you're asking a Star Wars audience.
Exactly.
Now, the funny thing is Teen Titans still got 24% of the vote.
Yeah, because there's probably millennials and the younger generation that looks at Teen Titans more favorably than that version of the Clone Wars.
True. Now, if she had done the actual Clone Wars, it could have been different.
I would agree.
So, all right.
But Clone Wars still won. Like you said, Star Wars-based fucking podcast.
Yeah.
Here we are. We know our audience.
Indeed. Last one. Another one I did not vote on because I have not seen either of these shows. Viva La Bam or Wild Boys. These both look like Jackass spinoffs.
Yeah.
So
I never got into Jackass or their spinoffs, but Bam Margera's from the area, so I went with Viva La Bam.
All right, fair enough. And he did win 60% to 40%.
There you go.
And that is this week's This or That. So thank you again, Luna Girl. And what is our Instagram, Dave?
At the Sidebar Cantina.
Yes, and that is where you can go to participate in these polls and interact with us.
I win again.
And see all kinds of memes that go up all day long.
He tests me every week.
Yes.
And I just barely pass every week.
So we ready to get into our weeks?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. For me, last week I had mentioned wanting a Nintendo Switch for an upcoming game. If you look right over there, you can see in front of the TV, I acquired one.
Is that My Little Pony on it?
It is Animal Crossing.
Oh, okay.
It's very like Easter colors, whites and light greens, and because one of the things about getting a Switch is they're still somewhat hard to find.
Really?
And I check the BX on base every time I go there for one, and they're never there. Change that. They have the mini versions of it that don't have the detachable Joy-Cons and that don't hook up to a TV. They're only a portable. It's like it's like the Switch Micro or some shit like that, which I don't want one of those. I want one of those that has the docking station that hooks up to the TV, has the detachable controllers.
Right.
And those seem to be pretty fucking hard to find these days. But I happened to go into the BX last week and somebody was stocking the fucking shelves with this new version, this Animal Crossing themed Switch. I'm like, I'd rather have like a Zelda or a Mario themed one, but fuck it. This is the first time I've seen one of these on the goddamn shelf. So I grabbed it. I happened to go to the BX the very next day and they were all gone. And she was loading like 8 of them onto the shelf.
Wow.
So
that's
pretty high demand.
Wow.
So yes,
I'm still on the fence about the Switch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not on the fence anymore. I have one.
Yeah.
I still have a couple of games. If you remember, I bought that Super Mario 3D All-Stars before they pulled it off of the shelves in May, I think it was. And so I've got that. I've got my son Adam has had a Switch for 2 years almost, and he's got a shitload of games.
It's been out that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, and I feel like we were just talking about it.
Yeah. And so I've got plenty of stuff to play.
Drink.
God damn. Sorry. until my Advance Wars games comes out in November or December. So
there you go.
Can't wait.
Yeah, you'll have to give me the elevator pitch on the Switch because I'm just not. I can't justify it right now. I have other nonsense to spend my money on.
Yeah, and for you, you've already got an Xbox. That's probably good enough.
Okay, that's fair.
For knowing you and your style. The only other thing I have for this week, because I worked all weekend. So since the last time we recorded, today is my first day off since the last episode.
Right.
So I haven't really had a chance to do much besides buy Nintendo Switches. But I am going to California this week. So going back home to see my family, taking my oldest son Robert with me. Should be a good time. Yeah, hopefully. Oh my God. That's a whole other thing, but we'll that could be my week story the next time we have a podcast. So we'll see.
True.
You know, if I don't get arrested by a TSA agent or something like that. So again, that's really it though. I didn't get a chance to do much because of work and whatnot. So hopefully you have something a little more entertaining for the folks.
Oh, do I? So we started off talking about air conditioning, right? Like I'm reading like in this week's episode of things that Dave is listening to on Audible, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm listening to, it's called The Origins of Everything in 100 Pages, more or less. That's the actual title.
Okay.
And it's actually really, really good. It's written by a geophysicist and really good explanation of exactly what climate change is and how the earth cycles through it, how the earth processes carbon dioxide, shit like that, from a geophysicist. So this is somebody that this is their thing. This isn't an activist. This is just somebody that this is their job. They study these things and do the research and study the research of others. So again, it's about educating yourself, getting a broad range of information before you make any, pass any judgments or, make informed decisions anyway. So
sure.
And it was free. It was free on Audible. So because I've been listening to all these astrophysics, different things, the 100 level courses of astrophysics, right? Nothing super deep.
Sure.
I'm extremely shallow when it comes to this. And yeah, this geophysics one's kind of popped into, hey, download this free with your Audible account. I'm like, yeah, fuck it. And it was good. It was like a little over 4 hours for it, but it was worth it. Like I was listening to it, and then when I got to that chapter where it really talked about like what the Earth does to like affect its own climate change and how it processes and why we aren't Venus,
right?
Even though we're the same basic size. So it's really interesting. So do it, educate yourself. But that's not the week.
Okay.
So as usual, like Dave's week begins on the weekend because working throughout the week there's just nothing. There's nothing going on. This weekend or this week, my daughter, Kate, who I love very much, came home from State College and she drove her car. Right. So it's a 2001 Ford Escape. It's the first year that Ford Escapes came out. And it's not the most reliable vehicle. I put a lot of like this is her first car that she bought with her own money. Right. So my thing was, you're gonna get this out to State College. I had no intentions of ever seeing this fucking car again. Like leave that fucking thing in State College. If it breaks down, fuck it. Don't drive it all the way to fuck home.
So was this a surprise visit? Did you know she was coming home?
She hinted at it because like, oh, my girlfriends want to go out and this, that, and the other thing. It wasn't like a certain thing until she's like in the car on her way.
Okay.
Right. Asking mom for fucking gas money. So she's on her way home and I'm at work. This is Thursday. And I'm driving home from work and I get a phone call that says like, hey, just to let you know, like the car's making a lot of noise. Like it's real loud and mom said it was smoking. So, she brought it home. She brought the car home to get it inspected, right? Because the inspection sticker is way overdue.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It's been in fucking middle of Pennsylvania for the past almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, I want to get it inspected so I'm legal. I don't get pulled over, blah, blah, blah. Right. So this is her reason, air quote, for fucking. Isn't it interesting like, if I say it like that, you kind of know that that's air quotes?
Yeah. Even if it's the audio audience,
yeah,
they know. They won't.
Anyway, so she brings the car back, and I get home. I'm like, oh, this is great. I get to, like, I knew something was going to happen with the car. I just knew it. That it's a 4-hour drive, no air conditioning, so it's miserable to fucking drive in. And so I get home, and it's got a fucking exhaust leak. Like, start it up. It's just, I'm like, oh, it's an exhaust leak. It's not anything fucking crazy. Let me just go underneath and look. And I look, and there's a giant hole in this fucking flex line, right? Like, fuck. So I don't like doing exhaust work, right? There's a couple of things on cars that I really don't want to do. Suspension's one of them, which I did the suspension on a fucking car, and exhaust is another. So I'm like, you know what? We'll go to Midas, and it should, to replace this section, because it was in a good spot, right? To replace this section couldn't be more than a few $100, right? So we take it down there, and they get it up on the lift. This is how things are with Dave and cars. So they put it up on the lift, and thankfully they were blissfully, like, empty, right? So they drove it in immediately when I showed up. Fucking got it up on the lift, and it's running, right? So they're giving it a good once over. They call me into the fucking garage. I'm like, okay, so you're right. That's where the hole is, right? He's like, but it's so rusted out that we can't weld to anything that's there. Right. So if we wanted to put a part in there, we can't weld it. And they don't do like bolt-on stuff like we would if we went and bought it. So I said the only thing we could do is replace the whole thing. And, like, looking at this rust bucket, rust bucket's my term. He was nice. It's not worth it. Right. Because you're replacing the catalytic converter, also expensive shit.
And this is a 20-year-old vehicle at this point.
Yep. So, like, okay. He's like, well, come look at this. So I'm standing there, go and look at the back of the car. I'm looking at it, and the fucking connection to where it fucking connects to the frame is all rusted. Because Kate bought this car off of somebody who used it to put a boat in and out of the water. So it's got this, like, fucking saltwater rust. Ford's rust anyway. Like, this is advanced, like, frame and everything. Yeah. So I was like, fuck me. So I'm like, okay, that's great. And then as we're underneath the car, it starts fucking pissing coolant, which, yeah. So we brought it down off the lift, and there's 3 of us with fucking flashlights shining, trying to figure out where the leaks coming were good. All the hoses were good, everything. The fucking the reservoir had a pinhole thing in it, so it was like misting out water. Oh, Jesus. Of course it is, because why not? So like, okay, I'm gonna drive it home, and we'll figure this shit out. So the plan at that point, talk to Kathy, and the plan was, okay, we're going to give Kate Kathy's car, right? Kathy can drive my Escape, and then I'll drive the other Escape. I'll work on the Escape. I'll get it fixed up to the point where I can get it inspected. I'll drive it to the base until we figure something else out, right? So that was the plan. This is Saturday, okay? Saturday morning. Well, we decided that on Friday, right? Saturday morning, I wake up, I go and get underneath the car and start. Basically, I'm underneath the car with the fucking Sawzall, cutting out the bad parts, piecing together all the shit, working them above my fucking, like, you can imagine sawing this fucking metal, right? Yeah. Sawing the metal out and then fucking having to size up the other shit. And I'm laying on my back the whole time. I'm not good with holding my arms over my head because my hands go numb, like if my arms are over my head. So I'm trying to fucking fight this thing. It's hot as balls, right? It's not fucking 115 degrees hot, but it's like when you're working on cars, sweating through your fucking shirt hot.
Yeah, and it was humid as shit too.
Yeah, fucking. The only good news was I was under the car, so I wasn't getting blasted with the sun.
Right.
So I'm laying under there. I you know what? I'm fucking. My problem is that I don't think that, like, if I look at something like that, I'm like, I'm either like, I can fix that or I can't.
I can fix it.
Yes, I can.
Fix it, Felix.
So, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
So, so I'm underneath the fucking car, get the thing fixed, right? And I put this flex line in there and fucking jury rigged it up. It's a fucking shit show. I'm like, all right, this will do. and then I bought off of Amazon. Like it came the next morning. Like literally on Friday, I'm like, I want this, and then Saturday morning, I was like, here you go. Right, fucking drop the box off. Like Amazon's amazing. For this sidebar, Amazon, I go on there to buy a 2001 Ford Escape radiator reservoir, one each, right? I go in there and I fucking find one. It's on Prime. It's reasonably priced. I fucking buy it and it's there the next goddamn morning.
Gotta love it.
Whereas if I went to the fucking local auto parts store, they don't have one of those. They have it in a warehouse somewhere, but they don't have one of those fucking things. Yep. And they'll tell you like, oh, well, you can pick it up tomorrow. We need to get it from our warehouse. I didn't have to do any of that shit. They fucking dropped it right off at the fucking house.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's mind blowing.
Yeah. People talk shit about Amazon, but goddamn, the convenience.
So fucking random though. A 20-year-old vehicle's fucking radiator reservoir. And boop, there it is. Made in China. Whatever. Beautiful. So fucking throw that in there, close the hood. I get a phone call from Kathy. She says, what do you think about me getting a new car? I'm like, okay. I mean, me personally, I want a new car. Right. Like I want to get a pickup truck. I'm like, this is like, I want to get a pickup truck and I want an F-150. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, we could talk about that. So she had sent me links like while I was working on a car to like a Camry or something at a dealership in Turnersville. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. She's like, yeah, I talked to the salesperson who sold my sister his car, and we're gonna go over there. They close at 5. I'm still in the shorts and fucking I'm sweating through the goddamn shirt. And like I'm just like I'm itching because I had all the shit fucking that was on the ground like on my back. I'm like, okay. So we fucking roll in there and we buy a car. That's the short version of that. Wow. That is we bought Kathy a car. It's basically the Focus 2.0, but it's a Toyota. It's certified used. Yada yada yada. It's super nice. Drives nice.
Excellent.
If you go to Turnersville Toyota, look for Andrew. Anyway, so that happens Saturday, close the book on Saturday, fucking full day. Sunday morning, I wake up, I'm like, I feel like I can barely fucking move, right? I was supposed to do a PTSD walk that the American Legion was happening. Mm-hmm. I had made a donation. Like I can't fucking move. Like, cause of all this going through all the shit of working on the car that I didn't need to do because we bought a new car. Like that's like the moral of the story is that Dave worked on a fucking car for 6 hours that he didn't need to.
You bought a new radiator?
Bought the reservoir. Thankfully that was cheap. But anyway, not that I'm bitter because it was the right thing to do. Anyway, so I get up. I finally get out of bed. I go out and I mow the grass. Right, the lawn needed to get cut. I went out there and trolling.
Yeah, Stonebleed's asked in the chat my opinion on the Irish, and quite frankly, fuck the Irish.
Anyway, let's throw a potato at you. So my shirt's off. Like I'm changing out shirts because I've sweat through another fucking fur. That's the problem with getting fat is like the amount of sweating that you do when you're fat. So I'm like going through fucking t-shirts like crazy. I take my t-shirt off and Kathy wanted me to go look at something. My shirt's off. And
oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's not sweaty enough. Yes, first try, Tom.
See, no, they're trying to get me to do that on Facebook again.
Oh.
They're trying to goad me on Facebook to say something. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm standing there with my Irish back and my shirt off, and Kathy's behind me, and she says, "What is on your back?"
Oh no!
I'm like, I don't know. So I'm reading her thing, like it's a paper that she's submitting, right? So I'm like kind of proofreading it. I'm leaned over looking at it, and she's like picks at it. She's like, "Is that a tick or something?" Right? So she's picking at it. Next thing I know, I hear like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, oh, well, that's not good. That can't possibly be good.
Uh-huh.
She pulled an 1.5 inch long fucking shard of metal out of my back.
Oh, God.
Like it's right up in here.
So what, like something that you got while you were working on that fucking car?
You know, when I was laying there and on top of the fucking shredded metal from cutting the shit apart, apparently some of it found its way into my fucking body. Because earlier, like on Saturday, I had a little shard sticking out of my tricep.
Yeah.
It wasn't nearly as big. But I ended up having it was like it's like a splinter. I'm like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
And apparently one of these, and I fucking slept with that thing sticking out of my back.
Oh,
but she said, it was only a little tiny bit was sticking out, and it just fucking pulls this thing out, puts it in my palm. I'm like, good God.
But you didn't feel it or anything?
I didn't feel it.
Wow.
Yeah, fucking crazy, right?
Yeah.
But now I feel it because now that it's out, it's like it's not healthy right now. Probably a doctor's visit in my future.
Yeah,
because it's very gross. But yeah, that's what I get. That's what I get for fucking working on a car. Because at the end of the moral of this story is that you expend a lot of effort to solve a problem, right? That if I just waited, it would have solved itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I went out there, did this, and there's physical stuff that I'll recover from, but then like pulling shards of fucking metal out of you because you're doing what is probably riskier than you would think. Cutting and doing all this stuff.
Well, I mean, we know somebody who was working on a car and met their untimely demise.
Yeah, I still say that they off them.
That could be, but the story is that he had a car fall on him. But
yes,
either way,
no matter what, the fact remains that the car fell on him. But also, he was on an uneven surface with questionable fucking jack stands or cinder blocks.
Sure,
depending on who you hear a story from. Regardless, I have fucking ramps that I drive. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've been doing it for a long time.
So now my question to you is, what's going to happen with the old car, the 2001? I'm
going to try and get some money for it.
Okay.
And sell it. I mean, it's got brand new fucking tires.
Yeah.
We just put tires on it the last time it was in Jersey.
Yeah.
And then we put tires on this fucking thing, right? Which is aggravating enough, but she needed them, right? Had the backs put on, something with a heavy tread. So while she was out there, we have her take it to the Firestone and say, hey, put the tires on a Firestone here in New Jersey, right? It goes out there. It's like, hey, we want to put the same tires on the back on the front, right?
Okay.
Should be pretty simple. They go into their computer, beep, boop, beep, and they fucking see like, oh, yes, look, it's this Firestone put on this tire. Yeah. Let's order a couple of those.
Yeah, the Michelin XGV.
Yeah, whatever. So
my cousin Vinny.
So yeah, that's a good one. That's a good reference. But yeah, they don't fucking do that. We tell them what we want, specifically, via the phone, right? They have it in their computer system with like, I want the fucking tires on the back. Right? I want those tires.
Yeah.
And what do they put on? A fucking radial. Instead of a fucking all-terrain tire, they put a radial tire on there. Huh. So while this fucking moron was installing the goddamn tires on the fucking car, didn't once look and go like, wow, these two tires are different. I wonder if that's supposed to be like that. No, fuck it. Put the fucking tires on. So yes, it has 4 brand new tires, 2 pairs of fucking identical tires, it's fucking ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. I just, people, do your fucking jobs. Do your jobs. Oh my God. I can't even.
That's a tough thing to ask these days.
Yeah. So I'm going to sell it.
All right.
I think it'll pass inspection now that I fixed the exhaust. It doesn't leak. It runs good, but that it's not going to last very long.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it gets a new frame, I guess. Oh boy. Yeah. So that's the adventure of the weekend. And that's it. That was enough. And my back hurts because I fucking had it.
And now you're thinking about that 2-inch shard of metal that you had in your back.
Yeah. Supergirl says, sold, we'll buy your car.
Of course she would.
Yeah. Look, We'll talk offline about that.
All right. Do you need a break or anything?
No,
or
I'm
we
good.
ready to hop into our main topic?
Yeah, let's talk about some Chappelle show.
All right. So, as promised, we're doing more Chappelle show because we had so much fun with the last episode. And problem?
Before we get too far along,
Okay.
Swede brings up something that I want to. It's kind of like doing your bit, right?
Okay.
So Swede brings up the point. At least you weren't cut by a toilet, right?
I saw that in the chat, and I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about?
That's an inside thing. And I will say this: of all the drunken shenanigans, all of the places in the fucking world, I never fucking broke a toilet. Like, and not like broke a toilet. I mean, like fucking shattered the back of the fucking porcelain toilet.
Okay.
And also flooded out our hotel room.
Okay, so who did do this?
Well, I'm not going to give names because that's obviously not relevant, and it's nobody we know.
Okay,
right? But these are the types of things that, you know, when some shit happens like that. And listen, kids, if you're listening to this and you're an aspiring fucking Air Force person or whatever, and you get, or just in life in general, and you get yourself in a situation where like, I fucked up. Right? I fucked up. I got too drunk. I fucking fell into the toilet. It broke. Oh my fucking God. I don't know how to turn off the fucking thing. I call somebody. They come up. They go like, wow, you're fucking a mess. Turn off the fucking toilet for you. Offer you an ambulance ride because apparently you're bleeding. Mm. You know, you fucked up. You done fucked up, AA Ron.
Wow.
And his name's not AA Ron, by the way. That's just...
Should have just left it at that.
It wasn't. But I didn't want people to make an association. Do I even know an AA Ron? I know at least one. Anyway.
All right.
I'm very easily distracted today.
Squirrel.
Yeah. Again, the moral of the story is you fucked up. Own it. Like, it's shit happens. It does. It happens to the best of us. And you know what? That particular situation, it's going to cost you some money and you're going to get your fucking balls busted. But at the end of the day, you take ownership of it and you fucking handle your business. If you decide not to do that and you decide to try and spin it in such a way that it seems like it was an accident, and then tell people that you give people a story that I guess not realizing that the people in the hotel document these things, like when they have it, and people that work travel vouchers fucking look at the things you put on there. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Okay, fair enough.
Do the right thing. Because look, you fucked up. It happens. Dude, it's happened. It's happened to me. Probably hasn't happened to Jason, but it's definitely happened to me. And you own it. It might cost you some money, but at the end of the day, you done fucked up and you move on, and things will get better from that point because you're acknowledging that you fucked up. That's a big part of it. Is that personal accountability, right? Mm-hmm. Which is so severely lacking, I think.
Yeah, because then you try to lie to cover it up, and then you're just lying on top of lies,
and you can't. The worst part, like you're not a fucking special agent with the CIA, right? You don't know how to fucking spin a story. You don't know how to lie effectively, so don't do it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all right, moving on. So back to Chappelle Show. We're doing episodes 4, 5, and 6 from season 1, and we had some good stuff in here. Had some. Quite frankly, some not so good stuff, if I'm going to be completely honest. And we'll get to that. So I got a bunch of notes. I don't know how you want to do this. If you want to just kind of go.
I want you to go through because you are really good at isolating, I think, the greatest hits.
Uh-huh.
And I'm really good at remembering the things that you're talking about and then talking about those things.
All right. So we start off. This is a common theme that I'm noticing in these, at least in this first season, is how dated some of the skits are.
Yeah.
Because they're parodying things that were big at the time, which you got to remember, we're going back to like 2003 at this point.
Yep.
So it starts off with a Mac commercial because, Mac's, Apples, they have their own special flavor of commercials, and they had one back during this time. So Dave made one in that same style, which
It was the PC versus Mac commercials.
Right. And, he's talking about being a comedian on the road and, how he's a chronic masturbator. And
I'm a chronic masturbator.
And when he watches porn, he wants to watch it on a Mac where you get that crystal clear picture and everything else. So it's pretty funny, honestly, but it's dated to the point where if somebody who wasn't familiar with that watched it today, they'd be like, okay, that's kind of funny, but kind of weird. Yeah, exactly.
That was just weird.
Because there's no frame of reference for what that's, kind of parodying. So just one of many that we're going to talk about today.
I'm wondering, did you enjoy typing out Mac masturbation on the show notes? Because
I was trying to get the point across with as little typing as possible, and I think you knew exactly what I was talking about.
I did. So. I did indeed. It was effective.
Mm-hmm. So Dave comes out and does his normal stand-up spiel.
Chappelle
talks about a Donahue appearance that he was on, which I guess that was a real thing too. It wasn't just like part of the show. He actually got called to be on Phil Donahue, who was a big daytime talk show host at the time, to talk about affirmative action and racial tensions. And it's so funny because you could have fucking filmed this today in 2021 and it would have been almost the exact same thing.
Yep.
Which it's fucking wild to think about. But
18 years later, it's the same conversation, different talk show.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is Donahue itself is a fucking throwback. Like people, like Donahue was huge. Donahue and Oprah and like those were like, I remember when that was big.
Oh yeah,
and I was a child. So Donahue was around for a long time.
Oh yeah, by this time in 2003, he had been on for a long fucking time.
He was at the tail end, I think, of his career. Is he still alive?
I have no idea. Jamie, pull that up.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah,
I'll learn today.
I did some other research that we'll talk about later as we get to some of the other episodes. But yeah, it was talking about affirmative action, and you had your typical angry white guy in the audience, like railing against this and all that, and Dave just sitting there like, what the fuck, man? Like he's just like, should I just start choking somebody?
Yeah. So. Like, what made you? Why bring him onto that show? And to be honest, when I watched this again, I forgot that this was a real thing.
Yeah,
because he does this thing where he's like, he makes his own fucking representation of the show.
Yeah.
Then it's like showing the Donahue show. I'm like, that's legit. He's really on the fucking show, sitting there bored out of his fucking tits.
Mm-hmm. Or basically just not saying anything because what he was thinking probably wasn't
probably
appropriate for that situation. So, but that whole discussion led into his solution to fixing the racial problems in America. Again, this is in 2003, which not much has changed, honestly, which is kind of sad when you think about it. But his answer was reparations, right? Reparations for slavery, giving black people just cash money to make up for the work of their forefathers.
Yeah.
And he said, all right, but we got to be smart about this. You can't just go giving this money to people and just turning them loose. And then of course we go into the scenario, his imaginary scenario of what would happen if that were the case,
right? And
you get some of the best Chappelle show like in this whole series, like this reparations sketch.
There's the amount of one-liners that come out of
it. I still quote this to this day.
Oh yeah.
Some of the lines from this, and it's like right up there with fucking Rick James and Prince and all that, as far as like some of the best Chappelle show sketches.
Right.
When they go into the whole reparations part. Of course, you got Dave Chappelle as Chuck Taylor, the white reporter, which he does that great.
Yes.
But I mean, he looks with the white face. It's very, very creepy.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the first lines when they send the reporter out into the streets to talk to people is the black lady walking up and going, "Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around." Right. I say that all the fucking time. I love it. Like, especially when I'm talking to my buddy who's actually going away to be an officer next week.
Uh-huh.
So whenever he and I are talking about money and I talk about cheap officers and everything, and hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around. With your broke ass. You got the Donnell Rawlings driving up in the fucking cigarette truck. And she's like, God. "Oh, you're gonna quit your job as a truck driver?" He's like, "Truck driver? I ain't no truck driver. I bought this truck straight cash. Now I got enough cigarettes to last me and my family for the rest of our lives. And then you get the most famous one-liner
Right.
from all of Chappelle's show.
I'm rich, bitch.
So
that wasn't a good rendition of it. I've done better.
Yeah. I'm rich, bitch.
Rich, bitch.
We go to, so a little backstory here. Kristen was watching this with me. Now, she may have seen some of these episodes back in 2003, but she hasn't watched them again since then. So all of this was pretty much brand new to her, and she was watching them with me yesterday. When we got to the part where they go to the Wall Street report, right, where the guy's talking about like how gold has skyrocketed, diamonds are at their highest ever, chicken is $300 a bucket,
$600,
$600 a bucket. Kristen is just like got her head buried in her hands.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get in trouble just for listening to this.
Like she's cringing so much throughout this whole fucking thing.
Look, I don't blame her, because even sitting there now, like we've talked about this with Chappelle's show, like even the black white supremacist, like is like the ultimate, you would think, right?
Yep.
This actually made me more uncomfortable. Like thinking about that white guy saying these things, even though he's an actor and like, you know, this is the lines that they wrote for him. But just like looking at him going like, man, I wouldn't even want to be on that show saying those lines,
right?
In present day,
like where he's like, Sprint stock skyrocketed today when 2 million delinquent phone bills were paid off.
Yeah,
it's like fuck, man.
Like, Jesus Christ! But this is Dave, right? This is Chappelle calling out what he sees as these fucking stereotypes.
Yeah,
you know, and fucking. I'm not gonna say like exploiting it necessarily, but I mean kind of exploiting it.
Well, yeah, and I think he kind of treads on a lot of these stereotypes equally. Like he'll play on white stereotypes as much as black stereotypes. So just, you know, for the cheap laugh. But the problem is this was acceptable back then. Like today, I don't know if even he could get away with this shit.
Comedy Central, no fucking way.
Yeah.
Like when he's standing there, like you go in between the two, like in between the skits, it's like, oh, we got to pay some bills for Comedy Central. I'm like, dude, Comedy Central. Well, every time. So what's funny about these episodes? This is 4, 5, and 6 that we're doing today, right?
Mm-hmm.
He consistently goes out there in the beginning is like, I can't believe we're not canceled yet.
Yeah, and
that. Today, they would never have made it through a fucking episode 1. I 100% believe that. They would have never made it. Not on cable access.
Sure.
Right. Not on Comedy Central. Maybe on fucking HBO or something like that, where they can hide behind all these layers of fucking like your kids won't see this because of this, and this. Which is total bullshit. But whatever. It was always bullshit. Ever since we were a kid, like, oh, HBO, fucking avert your gaze, children, because this is adult material. Whatever. We're gonna fucking see that shit.
Oh, or they think about the explicit lyrics sticker on fucking CDs and cassette tapes, even back in the day.
That obviously was just a huge part of like us developing into normal human beings, was because they had these stickers on these things. Just like when I was putting Y2K stickers on fucking computers, working for CompuCom. And fucking, they're raking in money for me to fucking run a 2-line batch file and fucking put a sticker on it.
Oh, it's too funny.
Anyway,
so we go to commercial right after this Wall Street report. Comes back to another parody of a commercial from the time, one of those anti-smoking commercials. It was the Truth campaign, right? So this was sort of the opposite of that. This was sort of like glorifying it a little bit, and it was called Truth. TRUF. But again, if you don't know what this is parodying, you're kind of watching and going like, I don't understand.
I lived through that, and it took me a second to remember like what the original commercials looked like. So I can see how that would be dated. Yeah.
But then we go to he starts talking about because I guess it was the summertime. He starts talking about women in the city and wearing their summer outfits, and we start talking about titties.
Great New York boobs.
So
my favorite line out of this, as he's like leading into it, is when he's talking about how they're on parade. Like the boobies are on parade, because they're before they get put away for the winter.
Yes, right? They pack them away for the winter.
Yes, it's like, oh fuck. I mean, dude, and Well, go ahead with your stuff because I'm sure you're going to get to what I'm.
Because then he talks about, but you're like, oh, you can't say anything, like you can't compliment them, right? I just want to compliment and be like, hey, you got a nice set of boobs,
right?
But no, they'll shove them up in your face all day, but you can't talk about it.
Yeah,
So
like, I look at them, but don't talk about it.
Yeah, I thought that was a great line.
Yeah,
and then of course we get into him walking the streets of New York with that fucking.
It was the Gallagher fucking
mustache. Yeah, which he probably used that exact same mustache when he does Black Gallagher later on in the series.
Great New York boobs.
Yeah, and he's like the only way he can get away with complimenting women on their racks in the city is if he, for some reason, dresses as this character
for a television show.
Yeah, and then gives them the ribbon.
Dude, why the fuck is Joe Rogan there?
So I completely forgot he was in this sketch. Like I remember he was in the Fear Factor one later on. I think that's in season 2. And I know him and Chappelle have always been friends. But yeah, when he pops up in these. Oh, and by the way, this is TV's Joe Rogan from Fear Factor.
Fear Factor.
The
on
funny
NBC.
thing, and he never says anything.
Nope.
He's in it like 2 or 3 times. Never says a word.
He's in t-shirts and fucking jeans with an obvious younger Joe Rogan. Right?
Hey, he had hair.
Yeah, he had hair. He wasn't as fucking ripped as he is now. It's probably before he got full on into the fucking MMA and everything else. But but it's so fucking random, and it's I don't know. Maybe I would imagine they're sitting around getting high, right? And they're like,
probably.
And Chappelle's like, oh, I'm going to do this sketch, and Rogan's like, oh, I want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, all right, well, just come along, right? And so they both show up to do this thing, and Rogan's like, well, what am I going to do? He's like, well, hold the box.
I know, right?
Hold this box.
And don't say anything.
Yeah, I'm going to refer to you and your show and fucking give NBC a plug.
Right.
But you don't say anything.
Mm.
Like, it's fucking so fucking random that he's there.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's the whole sketch. He's just like walking around, making women feel a little bit uncomfortable, telling them they have nice racks, giving them the ribbon. There's one where he tells the girl in front of her dad, and he's like, "Oh, you got great genetics." And,
and then at the end of it, he fucking hangs a ribbon on this big dude with this fucking.
Oh, right.
Oh, all right, Kate. She's going on the show.
All right.
Hey, Kate, you're on the show.
Cool.
All right. Is everything okay?
Yes.
All right. Do you want me to?
No, I'll start
okay.
my job on Wednesday.
Sweet. That's good news.
All right.
All right. Now everyone knows.
Yeah. Congratulations.
What's the topic of the show?
Chappelle show this week.
Chappelle show.
Oh,
Woo-hoo-hoo. Episodes 4, 5, and 6. All right. Love you. Bye.
This has been the Dave talks to his family on the phone portion of the show.
Hey, it's been a while since
I know.
we fucking had them on the show. So
yeah, you'd think that they had learned for a while, but then
I give them the preamble, like, and it's in the fucking family calendar. We have a family calendar. Everyone still shares, even though my kids are adults. We still share a family calendar, and it's right there. Podcast taping blocked out. So all they have to do is look at the fucking phone. And go, oh yeah, that's Monday. Dad's taping the podcast. No, well, fuck it. Let's call. All right.
Which sidebar? Are we still considering moving to Sundays?
Yes.
All right.
I would like to do that.
Okay.
I really would.
Yeah, we need to have like a serious talk about that then.
Yes.
Because I know we discussed it and then it kind of died on the vine. So
well, we discussed it, and I think we wanted to see what the listeners thought.
Yeah, fuck them.
To that. So I'm sure. Well, now that we've said it out loud, we can gather their opinion and refer to it later in the chat. So make your opinions known. Look, continuing on the sidebar, the reality of like us doing the show, we want to make sure that you guys can join in on the chat as well. Like we kid. It's a podcast, so it's about somebody downloading and listening.
Sure,
but the chat is fucking fun, and we want to make sure that you guys can participate in the chat too.
Yeah, and we've got our core group of people that are in the chat watching us live every Monday night, like clockwork.
So,
and we love you guys.
We don't want to ruin that.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I want to at least make an attempt maybe to have a conversation about changing it. Anyway.
Okay. All right. Anyway, moving back to episode 4.
Chappelle show.
So after the New York boob sketch, we go back to the reparations, back to Chuck Taylor to check in on the reparations.
Chuck Taylor.
And this is probably my favorite part is when he's like, Bill Gates has been overtaken as the world's richest man. By whom, you ask?
Yeah.
A Harlem resident known simply as Tron. And this is the first appearance of the character Tron.
The legacy of Tron begins now.
And I mean, I could tell you, like, I know his whole thing verbatim. Hot hand in the dice game, baby girl. 6 hours straight talking about clankety clankety clank. Yeah. I fucking love this so much.
And this is one of the Jason repertoire, or that he pulls out all the time.
And now you're looking at the world's richest man, and I'm black. Kiss my black ass, America.
It's
it's fucking great. He plays it so well.
Yep. Hot-handed dice game. And it's terrifying. At some point it's just fucking terrifying to, like, you're sitting there knowing Chappelle and his basically the level of activism that he's displaying here for racism and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that he puts this out there and kind of has an idea like what it would be like. It's terrifying. And I hate enjoying it. And like really these episodes, we used to watch this shit religiously.
Oh yeah.
Right. All this fucking time. And I almost feel guilty about it now. I just do. And it's just like a part of me is just like, oh man, should I really be enjoying this as much as I am?
Oh, and we skipped over when he talked about the basketball game. The New York Knicks took on whoever it was.
Sixers. It was the 76ers.
Oh yeah, the 76ers. And this one guy ended up going on one-on-one with Travis Knight because none of the black players showed up. Todd McCullough, playing one-on-one with Travis Knight.
And he won 75-72 or something like that.
It was so good. And then of course we go to the weather report with Big Al, who's basically your Al Roker type character, right? Hey, no, here's the weather in the high-pitched voice. Right. Well, actually, Chuck, this is not my real speaking voice. Actually, Chuck, this is my real speaking voice. I talk like straight up gangsta, bitch.
Chuck, and this is led into with Chuck Taylor going like, he might as well have said, this is a black man that I know is still going to be sensible and everything else. Right. There's this huge lead into fucking Big Al, and then Big Al proceeds to fucking shit all over him.
Right. Well, and of course, when it flips over to him, he's wearing a gold crown, fucking chain, like gold chains, rings. So obviously, he's already indulging. Actually, Chuck, this is my real speaking voice. I talk like straight up gangsta, bitch. So... yeah, a great fucking scene. Oh, we didn't talk about how Chuck closed off the first report when he talked about the crime rate.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should even repeat that.
No, we shouldn't. We should, but we'll say that a Chappelle representing Chuck Taylor stating that, I don't. Should we even say something like that? Like is Facebook gonna fucking jail us for fucking repeating something that's verbatim out of the fucking Chappelle show?
Who knows?
That's on a major network. But basically makes a joke about other ethnicities and the fact that did they get money too? That's how the crime rate went down to 0. And then he leans in, is like, don't worry, those people don't watch the news. It's just like, oh my fucking God.
And I mean,
but thank God Dave is saying it as Chuck Taylor, because again, I'm mortified at this at a poor actor that's got to stand there and say this outlandish shit.
Yeah,
like we're 18 years removed from it, and back then it was just funny. But now it's like, fuck. Well, and it just seems so wrong.
I think there was still a bit of a shock factor even back then.
Obviously,
because
you wouldn't be doing it.
Because this shit was nothing like we'd ever seen or heard before up to this point. But we were also, pretty inundated with stuff like that between South Park and some other things that were going on that were really kind of pushing the envelope. Hell, even pro wrestling at the time was really pushing the envelope as to what you could get away with on TV.
Right.
So, it wasn't anything too out of the ordinary, except they were really pushing on the racial stuff. Whereas the other stuff was getting more just like vulgarity, nudity, fucking, all that kind of stuff. Dave was pushing the envelope too, but more with the racial shit.
Right.
So,
which, I mean, to be frank, is more like if you're talking about those particular issues, like vulgarity, who fucking cares?
Right.
Honestly, who fucking cares? This isn't the 50s. You're not trying to control children.
Well, but you got to remember the way that we grew up. We grew up at a time when, parents were trying to fucking just put the clamp down on anything TV, music, like we talked about before.
Yeah. Like some parents.
Sure.
Some parents.
Well, but the parents who had power and the parents who had influence and people in fucking Congress.
The ones that made all that money playing hot hand in the dice game.
Yeah. So anyway, I forgot how we got onto that tangent. But Chappelle pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
Even back then. So, but yeah, we won't take that any further. And that was the end of episode 4, basically. And like I said, these reparation sketches between the two of them, some of the best shit in the entire series.
Rich bitch,
bar none. Yeah, and some of the most quotable lines too. So we'll move right into episode 5, where Dave comes out and he starts talking about rappers as the new entrepreneurs, right?
Oh my fucking god!
Talking about the Jay-Z vodka.
I forgot that these were in this.
Oh man! So I remember the Rocket Pads.
Yes,
because
yeah.
Not feeling fresh, lady? We're about to get all up in that ass with Rocket Pads.
Your period's dropping, coming knocking. Rocket Pads.
Yeah, and oh my god,
and he's on his fucking phone, and it's like Rocket Pads.
And of course, did you notice in the Rocket Pads sketch, fucking a very young Rashida Jones in that? Rashida Jones, first from The Office fame, and then even bigger in Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
she's always been pretty fucking hot.
Mm-hmm. Dude,
she looked really good in these fucking Chappelle Show sketches.
Chappelle sexed her up.
Yeah,
she's good.
But she does something for me. And we see her again later on in the series too. I remember at least one other time we see her. But
Jason's gonna pull a Tyree.
Katie's got some big ass titties.
Yeah. We'll get there in a moment.
I know. So fuck, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah.
Products.
Yeah, so we get the Rocket Pads, which is fucking hilarious, and then we get Red Man's Potty Fresh, which is just fucking gross when she lifts in that toilet and it's all
the atypical like Donna Reed white woman, like
mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the Rocket Pads one was funnier. I'm sorry, it just was.
Yeah. No, the dude that does that too, like he's like half of it, he's like on his phone, is like Rocket Pads, and good shit. We go into he start talking about like NFL films, like how he likes NFL films and those types of highlight shows, which there's some really good shit out there from NFL films and those types of things.
Based out of Morristown, New Jersey.
Yep. And so he presents his own version, and it's the great hookups or great moments in hookup history.
I didn't care. I mean, like, this was one of those, like, or for me, it was like, okay.
Yeah, it was. This is where we see some of his not so great work, because you think about Chappelle's Show, like the way we look back on it now, it's just such a classic show, could never do any wrong. But you got to remember, not every sketch is a winner, And this one was okay. I mean, it wasn't the worst, but at the same time, it's not something that I go back and rewatch ever. So
me either. I was just like, okay, I'll be distracted for a moment until I know we get to fucking Ask a Black Dude.
Yeah. So and then after that, we go to a commercial break and we come back with the racist plane ride, which is a very, very short sketch, but it's actually pretty funny because it starts off with the two Arab guys talking in Arabic, and they're like yelling like, what you would think would be like a fucking like death to America or something like that, but they're like discussing the results of American Idol, right? They're like, Justin should have won, fuck Kelly,
right? And
then of course the guy sitting behind him like, what are those terrorist motherfuckers up to?
Yeah,
and it was a black guy, right? And he's like, what are those terrorist sons of bitches up to? And then it goes behind him and it's a white guy, and he's like, who are those black guys in first class?
Just like, oh my god, I better what's her name? Shannon Close or whatever.
And then
white girl.
Yeah, and then of course behind him it's fucking two Native Americans. Like, I don't trust those white men, and it just gets a little more ridiculous. But it was for such a short sketch, it was pretty memorable, and it was pretty funny. I enjoyed it. And then of course we come to the first appearance of Paul Mooney.
Yeah,
in Chappelle's Show. Paul Mooney, who just recently passed within the last month. Rest in peace, sir. And we go to the Ask a Black Dude sketch. The first of at least 2 or 3 of these that he does in this season.
Yeah. And honestly, it was this was my introduction to Paul Mooney.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't really
Actually,
know who
same.
he was. And
Yeah.
and Chappelle knows, like, as he's building this up, right? And he's talking about, like, I went out into the streets and asked people questions. You know, sometimes you want to ask a black guy about something that you might feel like you're going to get beat up,
Right.
And, you know, so now we're give you an opportunity to fucking ask your questions. And I got, you know, comedy legend Paul Mooney to do it. And you heard a reaction in the audience. Like,
Yep.
You heard, like, probably about half the audience was like, holy shit, Paul Mooney.
Yeah, because
Right.
they knew who he was.
Right. And then the white people were like, who the fuck is Paul Mooney?
Right. Which, I mean, to be fair, that's exactly how I felt
Yeah.
at the time. You know, I didn't know who Paul Mooney was back then.
Right.
Now, I've since done my research and watched a lot of his stand-up shit since then.
And then Chappelle even knew it in the moment, right? In the moment when he's on the stage doing the introduction, he's like, you would, you know, for those of you who don't know, Paul Mooney wrote for Richard Pryor, blah, blah, blah. So he put this stuff out there, and even white people know who Richard Pryor is.
Yeah.
Or at least older white people.
Yeah, which we didn't realize that Paul Mooney was kind of the men behind his genius.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, then we get into the Ask a Black Dude section, which this first one wasn't as good to me as some of the later ones were. Though I did like there was another black guy who asked him, he's like, why do black people like to smoke so much weed? Can you tell me why? And,
yes.
And his answer was, I don't know. I guess black people like to party, you know, it's in the blood.
No, he started out with like, oh man, ask, well, where are your teeth?
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then of course he's like, don't ask me about drugs. Ask Whitney and Bobby. Don't ask me.
Like, oh my God.
Which that was the best part.
When did Whitney die?
Oh yeah, it was.
She had to have still been alive.
Oh yeah, no, she'd still been alive for another 10 years after this. She probably died in what, 2012, 2013. Jamie, look that up.
Oh, before we get too far, I meant to bring this up before we got out of the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were looking up Phil Donahue, right? I wanted to see like,
what's
alive or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Which I still don't know if he's alive, but whatever.
Our Jamies in the chat have not been on point today.
According to Wikipedia, he is still alive, but. So, fucking apparently in July 2002, Phil Donahue returned to television after 7 years of retirement to host a show called Donahue on MSNBC. This is what Chappelle was on.
Okay.
On February 25th, 2003, MSNBC canceled the show. So it must have been while Chappelle, like really soon after Chappelle was on.
Oh, you think it might have been canceled due partially to the reaction to this?
Well, so that's what's interesting. I would have thought the same thing, but it gets better. Soon after the show's cancellation, an internal MSNBC memo was leaked to the press stating that Donahue should be fired because he opposed the imminent U.S. invasion of Iraq, and that would be a difficult public face for NBC in a time of war. And that is a huge run-on sentence, and that his program could be a home for the liberal anti-war agenda. Donahue commented in 2007 that the management of MSNBC, owned at the time by General Electric, a major defense contractor, required that we have 2 conservative guests for every liberal. I was counted as 2 liberals.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's how the times have changed.
So fucking ironic to hear that coming from like NBC, which is one of the fucking,
like, they're the fucking voice of the far left at this point.
But yeah, so Donahue had come out of retirement to fucking do these shows, and we know that these were filmed in like that time frame, that 03 time frame.
Yep.
And then so Chappelle must have been on it, and then it canceled. So,
damn,
very interesting.
Yeah,
wanted to get that.
That's
out.
good.
What else was I supposed to look up?
Good job on the research.
Thank you.
Fuck. Oh yeah. When did Whitney Houston die?
Oh. Oh my God, so fucking random. When did Whitney Houston die? February 11th, 2012.
Boom. Didn't I say 2012?
I think you said 10 years from when this was. So yeah, you were right there.
Yeah,
you're in the ballpark. I'll give you that one. I don't give you much. I'll give you that one.
Yep. So after this, we got into a sketch. Basically, it was called like Inside Chappelle Show Studio, where he brought out the same guy that did the Frontline episode, right? The host of Frontline from the very first episode. The guy that I always knew as the neighbor dad from Small Wonder.
Right.
Dude, like, you talk about boring fucking sketches. Like this was tough to get through.
Yeah, it was. It it had such potential.
Mhm.
Like even, but it was too much. I skipped through it.
Yeah,
I did. I fucking hit the.
I sat there and I watched the whole thing, and I'm just like, ugh.
You are more dedicated than I, sir.
Yeah, no, it wasn't good. And I guess again, you can't expect everything to be gold, right? Especially in this first season. I think as we get into the second season, there is very few misses, and it's almost all hits.
This is true.
But he's still finding his footing. Again, this is the 5th episode of the show, so he's still kind of finding his footing, still getting his flow. So I'll give him, the benefit of the doubt here. But
I mean, look, it's a show business is a business much like baseball, where if you're hitting 300, you're hitting really well,
right?
And so far, he's hitting well.
Yeah. So the true highlights of this 5th episode, though, are the introduction to Paul Mooney and then rocket pads. But besides that, not a whole lot positive from this episode. More misses than hits, unfortunately. Then we go to the final episode that we're going to cover, the 6th episode.
Right.
Another dated commercial parody.
Right.
That we'll talk about after we take a break, because we need to take care of some business and be right back after this word from our sponsors. Dave really had to pee all of a sudden, so we had to take a quick break. Let me get caught up on the chat here. What's going on, Talia? Bronco Fett's talking about 106 degrees. Talia's in Arizona, so yeah. All right, 4 months. Oh, Colorado, 106. 106 in Idaho. Oh, Scott's in Arizona. Yeah, what's the temperature been like in Arizona, Scott? Oh my God, 111. Jesus Christ. It's been pretty nice here in Jersey, honestly. We had a couple of humid days over the last few days, but it hasn't been that hot. Today was probably the hottest day all year, and it's still tolerable. So we're spoiled up here in the Northeast, I guess. I'm just reading. Everybody's just like listing their temperature, because apparently everybody in the chat is somewhere in the western side of the United States.
Shit.
And it's all like 106, 111, 110.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah. So surprisingly, I still don't need to go.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go, because we actually need to close this up as quick as we can, because I've got more packing to do, and you've got things that you've got to do.
Do I? Oh yeah, I got to fly in the morning.
Yeah,
for the first time in forever.
118.
Yeah, it's just fucking. Yeah, Swede's talking about 111 is a normal summer day in certain parts of Arizona.
Yeah,
especially the Phoenix area. But yeah, it's unseasonably warm.
Yeah. So I've heard
in certain areas.
Fuck that.
Yeah. Listen to that book.
All right. And just so you guys know, there's probably not going to be much of an after show today.
Yep.
I mean, maybe a few minutes, but it's not going to be very long. That's what she said. But yeah, we got shit to do. I got packing to do. He's got to go fly. So we're gonna wrap this up quickly tonight. So
yes.
Give me a countdown and we'll get back into it.
And yeah.
And we're back. So, episode 6 starts off with another commercial parody. Right. I think every episode, these three have started off with some sort of commercial parody. Another one that's kind of dated. Like, if you don't get the reference, you probably wouldn't understand. Now, I don't know anybody who was alive at this time who wouldn't remember this reference.
Right.
With the Girls Gone Wild.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it starts off with you've seen the Girls Gone Wild. Well, now it's Third World Girls Gone Wild. And it's all these fucking African women with their fucking just tits hanging out because they don't wear anything to cover their tops. And it's a hilarious fucking parody of the Girls Gone Wild commercials that you would see all the fucking time back in the day.
After 11 o'clock at night, you get inundated with Girls Gone Wild shit.
Yeah.
And you'd sit there go like, I have money. Nah.
Yeah.
Because it kind of plays on too, like our generation as a kid, if you didn't have access to like Playboy or something like that, like National Geographic was fucking was available, and you in your adolescence finding a National Geographic to see your first nipples.
Yeah, I can't recall ever jerking it to National Geographic back in the day, so
I can't recall either, but I know that I would actively be looking into National Geographics to see if we could get a little nipple action.
Fair enough. So, yeah, that was a very quick start to the show. And then we get into what you alluded to earlier was the whole writing a movie about himself, which he referred to what was it, Antoine Fisher? I don't know. Yeah, some movie that had just come out back then, and how the dude basically wrote the movie about himself.
Right.
And how the temptation would just be too much to lie about.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, well, what would I, as Dave Chappelle, write as my own life story?
Yeah.
And again, this one,
this didn't do much for me.
Yeah, I there was a couple of parts. Like the part that I liked the most out of this one was when he got the phone call from Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was kind of funny because whoever did the Richard Pryor voice was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, the whole sketch was just like, eh.
Bill Cosby, like I think was then Bill Cosby.
No, I think it was supposed to be Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor that called him up. But they're like, we were just talking about how you were so much more funny than us.
That was Eddie Murphy. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was Cosby for some reason. Again, this didn't really hit. Although the Eddie Murphy voice is used later in True Hollywood Stories.
Yeah.
Same guy.
Prince, what's up?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's hot.
Ooh, that's hot.
So, but yeah, another one where I wasn't feeling it. And then we go into, we'd been introduced to Ask a Black Dude.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's like, he wants to take the same idea and apply it to gay people.
Right.
He's like, so what questions do you have for a gay dude? And he gets Mario Cantone, who I was very familiar with at this point. I'd seen a lot of his stand-up on Comedy Central in the 90s, so I knew who he was.
But didn't he become a name because he was doing like Sex in the City or something?
Which, yeah, and that's what Chappelle said in this, but I never watched that show, so I had never seen him in that. But again, I was familiar enough with his stand-up where I knew who he was, and he's very, very gay. Like, he doesn't even have to say it on stage. Just like you listen to him talk and you know.
Yeah, you know.
So we go into the new segment, Ask a Gay Dude, which I like the premise, but I don't think Mario Cantone really... He didn't make it entertaining.
No.
You know, like, first of all, he barely answered the questions.
No,
at all.
And I think where the skit went wrong, again, armchair quarterbacking, a fucking brilliant comedian, but the having like Dee Snider and, having famous people on there asking questions, I think took away from what was going on with him. If he had just gotten random people off the street, I think that would have hit funnier. Well,
but you know what the thing is so there is on these DVDs, there's like a behind the scenes with the Paul Mooney, the Ask a Black Dude. It's like the full, like the tape just keeps running while they're going through all of these, and there's no cuts or anything. And it's just the entire recording session of Paul Mooney doing the Ask a Black Dude.
Right.
And, Dee Snider was in one of those as well. There was also Stephen King has a question in one of them also.
Yes.
And they're just like, no, we were outside of this one building and they both just fucking randomly walked by. So we, shoved the microphone in their face and had them ask the question. So it wasn't like, Dave was a friend of Dee Snider and he called him up like, hey, help me out with a sketch. It's like, no, they were outside this building.
It was random people.
Yeah. And so it just so happened to like Dee Snider and Stephen King were two of the people, because you can tell, because Dee Snider is also in the Ask a Black Dude later in the series, and it's like that same spot in the same building. He's wearing the same clothes, so it was all like the same. So they probably, any person that would talk to them, they probably said, "Do you have any questions for a black person? Now, do you have any questions for a gay person?" Right, and they just took the best ones from each.
No, that's right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but either way, I think Mario Cantone really just didn't get into the spirit of the whole thing. And he didn't make it entertaining. He just had very short one-line answers that weren't really that funny. And it didn't really, I don't know, it didn't come off well.
Yeah.
And that's probably why they didn't revisit it, because they never went back to do the Ask a Gay Dude, but they did go back to the Ask a Black Dude later on in the series. I did like, though, the one guy who came on, it was like the rapper. He's like, yo, this is Bizarro from Bloodline Records.
Right.
I want to ask y'all, Fruity Pants, this, what's with the rainbow? And
I'm not feeling the rainbow.
Yeah. But the fact that he called them Fruity Pants, I'm like, wow, I don't know how well that would go in today's environment, honestly.
Well, it wasn't coming from a white guy. So, I mean, I don't know.
I don't think it would have mattered.
Yeah.
I think in today's environment,
especially...
You call a gay person Fruity Pants, I don't care what race you are, you're probably going to get a bunch of shit for it.
Yeah, probably.
So, but yeah.
Wonder how Bloodline Records is doing.
I Googled them. They shut down in 2006. By the way, one of their founding members was a guy known as DMX, who recently passed away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but no, they folded in 2006. So I did some research as well.
Nice.
So then we go into the last sketch of this episode, and it's Dave talking about the Real World, how he's a fan of the Real World. Now, before we get into this, did you watch the Real World the first few seasons? Okay, because I was a pretty big fan of the first 3 seasons of it in the late 90s when it was on MTV.
I remember watching several episodes of the first one.
Right.
And then like maybe a couple here and there I never got it. I never was hooked on it.
Okay. Yeah. See, I was, at least again, for the first 3 seasons. I think after the first 3 seasons, I joined the Air Force and I'd moved on, whatever. But, it was kind of a pioneer in television when it comes to reality shows and everything else. This was the first real reality show that was shot in this style and, kind of paved the way for what you would see for the next 20 years.
Yeah, I know. So it's to blame for the Kardashians for being
pretty much that, and like Paris Hilton and some of the lesser desirable stuff that we've gotten from this. But either way, he's talking about the Real World and talking about how every season they put like 1 or 2 black people in with the craziest fucking white people they can find.
Right.
And he's not wrong, because they did that. I remember in like the second season, I think they had the one black guy, and they eventually kicked him off of the show. So he's like, well, you guys wouldn't like it if I put 1 white guy in with 6 of the craziest fucking black people I can find.
Yeah.
And then of course he's like, well, I got a show just like that. And then we get into the Mad Real World, which I still know the whole intro too. This is the true story of 6 motherfucking strangers picked to live in a motherfucking house and have their motherfucking lives taped to find out what happens when people stop being all polite and shit and start being real. Mad real.
He does know it. That is it. That's the beginning.
Yeah, and it's of course.
Can you do the entire skit verbatim?
When I first entered the house, obviously I was a little surprised to meet the other roommates.
That's awesome.
Hi, I'm your new roommate, Chad. Hands him the joint. Hey, who ordered pizza? No, I'm your new roommate, Chad. You want a room? Nah, all the beds are sold. You're gonna have to room with Tyree. My name's Tyree, and yeah, I went to prison.
Yeah, I went to prison. So have we seen Charlie Murphy up until this point?
I think this was his first appearance, at least in any sort of speaking role.
Right. So we're seeing Charlie Murphy, and it's like when I saw this originally, Charlie Murphy wasn't Charlie Murphy.
Yeah, we didn't know who he was at that point.
This was like just a guy
who looks like he probably just came back from prison,
and he was so fucking intense.
Yeah,
this fucking episode has one of the creepiest moments in television to me.
Yeah,
right. To see, when Chad's girlfriend is there and they're messing around,
Katie,
and Tyree is in the fucking corner, like in the night vision thing, like. Watch that and not be totally like, oh my fucking god, like just the eyes and the fucking jerking motion, just like, oh, I'm like, no, that was.
So put a pin in that, because we're gonna come back to that. All right, about the night vision thing.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that. So yeah, it puts him in this situation where it's Chad and all these black people, and they get a job at the juice bar. Another one of my favorite spots in Chappelle's show, when they're making the juice, because it's Tron that we met from the Reparations sketch is back.
Yep.
played by Dave Chappelle. And he's making juice, and he's got like some like bourbon or something, and he's like, "This is some good shit," and he's pouring it into the fucking juice mixer.
I believe
like,
it was Hennessy.
And then he puts the fucking joint in there. Booyah!
Yep, it was Hennessy.
Okay,
because we're talking about ethnic stereotypes here.
Sure.
So it was Anyway.
Yeah, but no, it was fucking great. And they're playing dice outside, and Chad's like the only one who's trying to work. There's one point where it like goes to Tyree, and he's like just fucking sitting on the counter jerking off to a magazine.
Yeah. The Tyree character is just so fucking intense throughout this entire thing. Now, again, not being into the real world bit, but just that level of intensity that the character had. It's just like, oh wow, this is fucking super believable. That this is how this dude is. And I mean, I don't know, like his backstory. Like he was in the Navy, right? Wasn't he in the Navy when Eddie was was getting big, and he came back, and I don't know what happened to him after that.
Well, after he came back, he started working with Eddie as kind of like he started helping him write. I guess he had you remember the movie Eddie Murphy did, Harlem Nights?
Vaguely.
Yeah, it was like him, Arsenio Hall.
Right.
Like Charlie Murphy, I guess, was in that and helped write that. Also, the vampire movie that Eddie Murphy did.
I don't remember a vampire.
Yeah,
movie.
Eddie Murphy.
I'm not surprised though. Eddie Murphy has done a movie about just about anything you can think of.
Yeah, well, Charlie Murphy was involved in that too. So
Charlie Murphy.
So he started working in Hollywood.
God, I can't wait till we get to that episode.
Oh, I know, it's gonna be great. Then we get to the part where you talked about where his girlfriend Katie comes in. Katie has some big ass titties, and they're making out one day or in the bedroom, and the camera pans over the night vision, and it's fucking Tyree jerking off with his eyes glowing in the fucking night
creepy,
vision.
Man. It's like, can you imagine the stage direction? Like, okay, we're going to they're going to be fooling around, and you're going to watch them. You're going to be masturbating. So, like, just be in the corner and be creepy.
Yeah.
Right? Hand over.
Nailed it.
Fucking, there's the shot. Cut. I got to go home and fucking just not see that vision ever again.
Yep. And then the next scene is Tyree brings his friend Lysol fresh out of the joint in, and they basically tell Chad to get fucked.
Show them how we're living out here.
Yeah. They tell Chad to go away, and they kind of have their way with Katie. So then it's them, messing around with Katie in the night vision, and then it pans over to Chad as he's crying, jerking off under the pillow. So there is a deleted scene. Like, I don't know if you remember this or if you've seen this. So if you watch the DVDs, they have deleted scenes. You know, the part where Tron gets Chad in the sleeper, and he drops him, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna take Chad upstairs." Right. And Chad in the confessional is like, and be careful if you ever get a sleeper hold put on you, because the next day your anus will really hurt.
Right.
The deleted scene is fucking Lysol and Tyree taking Chad upstairs, putting him on the bed in the night vision, right? They put him on the bed. They're starting to take off his pants. The camera pans over, and it's fucking Katie. You see her hand.
I have seen that.
Yeah, you see her hand under the pillow. She's like, yeah, do it. So
they could stay.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's they should have kept it in, honestly. That would have been fucking brilliant.
That's too far. That just went too far. Like, really?
Yeah.
The motherfucker stabs somebody.
Yeah, well, yeah, because his dad shows up, and then of course they're giving his dad shit. Like, why are you looking at me like that? Like, I don't know how.
Like what? Like that? Oh, look, he's doing it. Yeah, Tron's over there. Oh, look, he's doing it.
Yeah, he's instigating.
Yeah,
and then of course Tyree walks by and like in prison, like like shakes him real quick, and then hands the knife off, and then goes in a different direction.
Gets wiped off. It's like,
yeah,
and well that. So. All right, yeah, go ahead. I know where you're going.
Well, yeah, and then as obviously Tron after the fact is like, "Oh, I'm bleeding, just making fun of him." So fucked up.
I've been stabbed.
Yeah, and the last scene is all of them having a party in the fucking in the loft while Chad's trying to sleep, and he comes down. He's like, "Enough! What is wrong with you people?" And it's talking about how he's got to get up for work the next morning. And of course they're like, "You people? The hell you mean, you people?" And that's where they have the house meeting the next day, and they basically tell him they're kicking his ass out.
Right. Like, Tyree, you stabbed my dad. And what was the lead in? Because I was trying to remember with the awkwardness a second ago. The lead in to where Tyree's like, you know, for the record, I didn't fuck Katie.
Oh,
right?
so and it was like,
Since
yeah.
you know this verbatim, I know you can do the lead in better.
It's like, yeah, Tyree, you stabbed my dad and you had sex with Katie. He's like, hey, I didn't have sex with Katie. Lysol had sex with Katie.
Lysol had sex with Katie.
I just filmed it.
Right. And then Katie's like, you had sex with me?
He's like, correction.
Yeah. I had sex with Katie.
Yeah.
I just look, for me, this particular episode, fucking Charlie Murphy makes it.
Yeah.
And seeing this for the first time before knowing Charlie Murphy, that was just like, oh wow, that it just ended up being just a really good introduction. And it's it's a shame that he didn't do more. You know, I guess overshadowed by your brother like that at some point. But we'll get to I'm sure we'll get to more Charlie Murphy stuff when we get to Charlie.
Oh yeah, when we talk about the Rick James and all that, we'll get into Charlie Murphy and his whole life story and everything. But that was it.
Charlie Murphy.
That was the last episode that we are going to talk about tonight.
Yes.
And I think this was probably the best of the 3 episodes because the Mad Real World was like 2/3 of this episode, whereas all of the others, they did a commercial break and came back to the real world. Yeah, the only other one was episode 4 where they did the reparations in 2 different segments. Right. But yeah, I think the Mad Real World. Well, no, the reparations one was good too because that also had the New York boobs. So 2 out of these 3 episodes, I told you, very, very good. If you're batting 300, you're doing fucking well. Yep. So since you have the DVDs out, what are the next 3 episodes? So because I haven't looked ahead. Episode 7, Dave takes a realistic look at Pretty Woman. I love that one. And The Matrix, and introduces the Wu-Tang Clan's new financial consulting firm. Oh yeah, it's a continuation of the rappers, the entrepreneurs. Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. Episode 8, Dave uncovers racism among Hollywood's animal stars, and Tyrone Biggins returns when his friends hold an intervention. Is this the 5 o'clock free crack giveaway? That's right. Oh my god, it's right. Well, hold on, what about the other one? Episode 9, Dave takes a Japan by storm in the sci-fi adventure Blackzilla and starts his own video game. Is that the one where he does the GTA? Yes, I think so. Okay. Which is a great one. Yeah. I actually really like that one. Sorry, I need this. The Blackzilla one I wasn't super into, but we will save that commentary for when we do the next ones. Honestly, we might be able to do 4 the next time. Maybe. We might be able to do. All right, well, what's the next one after that? Episode 10, Dave presents the History Channel's coverage of great inner city gang wars from 1980s. I don't remember that one. Yeah, I don't remember that episode at all. There's like, it's there. The imagery is there. I can't describe it. Okay. All right. Well, either way. So like we said, next week, no episode. Right. We came up with an agenda for July and I've completely forgotten. Well, thank what topics. God, Lunar Girl has made it into the chat. Yeah. And maybe she can help us out with what we were supposed to be doing. I think there was a mention of a certain music genre pertaining to the 90s. Yes, that's right. We're going to do the music of 1990. Right. 1990, not the 90s, because I think we bit off a lot when we tried to do the 80s. Yeah, we tried to do one decade in a single show, and that was not a good way to approach it. So, and honestly, the 90s I can speak better to anyway. Sure, because that was our heyday. Yeah, it was and adulthood, and leaning into adulthood anyway. Yeah, as we break down the 90s, we're going to do it year by year. So we'll do one episode dedicated strictly to 1990, and then we'll do another episode later on about 1991. And we're going to break the music down for each year as opposed to the entire decade. So yes, that is our next episode. The music of 1990 should be a good one because actually, you know what? I'm not even going to give a preview because I don't want to blow our wad. No, don't give a preview. But yeah, in the meantime, when you're longing for the Sidebar Cantina and we don't have an episode next week, you can check out our buddies over at the Escape Pod.
Right.
Every Wednesday night. They go live on YouTube, and then their audio episode goes live, I think, the next morning. So for the audio listener types.
Yes. I don't know what their next episode is. I was sitting here trying to think about it.
They're fucking stealing all the goddamn Kevin Smith movies is what they're fucking doing for every fucking episode. Because we talked about when we started branching off and getting away from Star Wars, one of the big things that we wanted to do was talk about the Kevin Smith movies. So they're like, oh, we're going to beat you to the fucking punch and go fuck yourselves. And we're talking about all of them. So that's what they're doing this week.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and Jay and Silent Bob Reboot this week.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll be all right.
All right. Fair enough.
My wife distracted me with Britney Spears.
Did she get her emancipation?
I know. I think she's working on it.
Yeah.
I'm clicking buttons and nothing's happening. So, moving on.
This is the story of your life.
Yeah, facts.
But besides that, I don't think we have anything set in stone for the rest of July. But by our next episode, we should have the Wreath of the Month.
Wow.
The Wreath of the Month planned out.
So he says in the beginning, it's like, I show up here and he's like, I'm not going to drink. I have too much shit to do.
Plan A was to not drink any alcohol tonight.
So he's like, I could have one vodka tonic.
Yeah.
Right. And then mid-show, I see him refill said vodka tonic.
I can't. Uh-oh. Well, luckily they can still hear us.
Right. Dave
lost his internet connection, which means
it's this connector. Like it needs a clip on it.
Okay.
That's what's happening. It wiggles out.
All right.
When we're moving the table.
So that being said, we're just going to end the show right now because Dave is having some technical issues. And yeah.
It's Jason's cord.
Whatever. You blame me for your technical issues. So yeah, have a good 4th of July, everybody. Try not to get too wild with the fireworks. Try not to burn anything down. And
don't hurt yourself with fireworks. Seriously, don't do that. And don't set the West Coast on fire because it's already hell on earth apparently with the temperatures. So it's probably dry as fuck. So
well, I'm gonna be there on the 4th.
Don't
setting off personal fireworks. So.
You are such.
So we'll see how it goes.
Jason is part of the problem.
If you see on the 5th that California has burned down, that might be my fault. So I'm
definitely going to blame you. If there is a single fire, I'm going to deliberately watch the news and see if there's a single fire. I am so ratting you out. I'll be the guy on like fucking CNN being like, I know who started the fire. Billy Joel playing in the background.
Yeah.
Fucking.
I cannot wait to make an exploding Piccolo Pete. I haven't done that in over 20 years.
The fuck is that?
So Piccolo Petes are these personal fireworks. You light it, and it's got a pretty high flame, but it makes a whistling sound. It's like a whee! Very, very loud.
Okay.
The trick is that I learned as a kid, because the powder is evenly distributed throughout the whole firework.
Okay.
But if you go and you take a hammer and you pound the middle of it, that puts all of the fucking the powder, like it bunches it all into one spot.
Uh-huh.
So then you light it, it goes boo, and then boom, the whole thing fucking explodes. It's fucking awesome. The best time is when you put it inside of like a Coke can, like an empty Coke can.
Uh-huh.
You put it inside there. You do the exploding Piccolo Pete. You light it, woo, boom, and the fucking thing shoots like 50 feet in the air. Oh, it's great.
Jason is so excited right now. If you can't tell on his voice, like he's beside himself excited.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's been over 20 years since I've done personal fireworks.
I like how you're calling them personal fireworks as opposed to what? Professional fireworks?
Yeah, like people who put on displays and you just go and you just watch. You're like, oh, that's cool.
Dude, that's the fucking neighbors by me, fucking having big giant fireworks out in their backyards.
Yeah, no, like, the way to do it is to get your own stuff. You light it yourself and then you run away and you're like, try not to get yourself burned.
Listen, I messed with fireworks a lot when I was a kid. I don't have any desire to do that now. I had enough close calls with M80s and shit like that when I was a kid that I'm definitely glad that I'm not going to be fucking around with that shit.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to be fucking around with it. And
he's gonna
like my goal is to make sure that my son doesn't hurt himself because
yeah.
because this is going to be Rob's
Fire,
first
fire,
experience
fire,
with doing
fire,
fireworks.
fire.
So,
Yeah, it's cool.
all right. Sorry, Dave.
Oh no.
We got to go. We got shit to do.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. So until then, Dave and everybody else, we're rich, bitch.
Okay, now what do I click?
All right. Export audio. Episode 206. You guys got him going.
Cool. All right. I'm going to close that, and yeah, we need to put a new end on this cable.
What cable are you talking about?
Your RJ45 cable.
Are you sure that's mine?
Yes, it's yours. It's the one that fucking comes around and goes up here. That's your cable. That's how my machine plugs into the internet.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so the clip on the end of it. If this was on the jet, we would have diked this off and fucking gave it to maintenance.
But it's not.
But it's not, and I don't have ends with me. So
we'll do what we got to do.
What you got there?
I made cookies. They look a little sad, but they're awesome.
Oh my god.
Everyone's already had some.
Cookies.
They're so good. They're super soft. They're soft. Got to say.
Wow.
It's fine. Just get another one.
Peanut butter. It's good. Make noises. Well, I don't know. You want it on the floor?
I guess that's the next best place to put it.
What was the best space?
All right. Anybody still in the chat? Luna Girl says it's hot as balls at 6:30.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which.
Thank you, Willis Carrier.
The Jensen household makes their own fireworks. This I got to see. Tom, I want to see some video evidence of this. Prodigy came later in the 90s. Talia is a pyro. Luna Girl is drinking coffee right now at 6:30 in this heat.
I will not put anything hot in my mouth at these temperatures.
What are you putting in your mouth?
Nothing hot.
Okay. So many comments.
Yeah, I bought the chili today for the chili toast things. And I said, I'd like enough chili to feed 4 people. And he said, is this a joke? Who buys chili in 90-degree weather?
Who the fuck said that?
The guy who was selling chili.
Like specifically selling chili?
Well, it's a barbecue and chili place.
Oh, well.
Do you not want money? Like, I didn't ask your fucking opinion.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, just sell me what I fucking asked for, asshole.
Yeah, you're in the wrong business. You should definitely not be in sales. Those are delicious.
Thank you. Do you want to take any home?
I absolutely do. And with me on my flight tomorrow.
What's the weather supposed to be like tomorrow here?
97 degrees.
No storms or anything in the area? Hopefully?
No.
Okay, good. My mom said it's supposed to be windy in Bakersfield, and we're flying into Bakersfield, so...
You are?
Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't realize that.
Pretty sure I told you that.
I don't know.
But anyway, so if it's really windy there, then that's going to be a fun landing.
That'll be sporty.
Yeah.
Where's your connecting flight?
Phoenix, Arizona.
That'll be sporty.
By the time I get to Arizona. What?
Every time dropping into fucking that airport in Phoenix, it's fucking because you get that mountain wave turbulence as you're on the descent.
Oh yeah.
Do I even want to know what the thongs are about? You're gonna have to rewind and watch.
What thongs?
was a whole chat conversation about your thongs.
About my thongs?
Uh huh.
I don't wear thongs.
I like how you didn't deny it right away.
God damn it.
You didn't deny it right away, folks.
Shouldn't deny it at all.
I said that he keeps them balled up in his pocket.
When was this conversation happening?
What do you think I'm doing in the chat?
Uh,
I'm not ignoring you. I'm listening
I thought
because
you
I'm
were
a radio
I
operator.
thought you were doing research like a good co-host.
That was also happening
Yeah.
when Whitney died. Go from the Donahue show to when Whitney died. Although I guess they could be similar.
Yeah. Where the fuck?
No idea.
Where's my levelator app? Oh, there it is.
Maybe you need another monitor.
No, that's not going to help because it wasn't there.
Look, I can't speak to that. I had at one point 3 monitors on my desk, and now I have this giant curved monstrosity.
I want one of those so
Oh,
bad.
it's fucking glorious. It's absolutely glorious.
I have 3 monitors on my computer in the house now.
That
I
one,
still want a curved one.
one big curved one. That get the one with the KVM switch in it, so that way you can fucking have 2 computers hooked up to the same thing. And,
Ooh.
Yeah. yeah, 2 computers, 1 cup.
Oh my god. How did that conversation came up this week in the fucking cantina?
Yeah.
No,
The 2
we were talking about the Fast and the Furious.
That's right.
saw
Nick was talking about how he
Yeah.
saw it and he
yeah.
No, it was the meme I posted.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was the meme I posted
Yeah,
about
that's a
the
stupid meme.
about the sequels.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's the dude getting the medal fucking.
I love that meme format. I
it's
really
great.
do.
Yeah. But then it was like ranking the movies. And
That's right.
Because he
said
was the sequel trilogy.
the Human Centipede was,
Human Centipede, 2 Girls, 1 Cup, and then the sequels.
and then Ivo had said, "Yeah, I think the 2 Girls, 1 Cup would be above Human Centipede." And
right. And then
it just
Kelly mentioned like she had seen the 2 Girls, 1 Cup, and she like vomited. And I'm like,
everyone has to see it once.
nope,
I haven't.
nope.
I'll watch
I will never. I have heard.
reaction video.
Nope.
You and me
No, not in your
Together?
fucking life.
live.
Nope, never. I've heard the description.
We should take a vote.
No,
We
no,
should see what
no,
people think.
never, ever, ever, ever. Fuck you. Never. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's seen it but us.
And trust me, is that a good thing?
No,
But
you
would
need to
watch-
see it. You need to
would
have.
you
No,
watch a reaction
never.
video?
I would, as
Yeah.
long as I don't have to see the video. Yes.
I've seen, and that's the thing. I've seen reaction videos to people watching it where you don't actually see what's going on. You just see the person's reaction.
Just man up and watch it.
No, fuck you. I will never do that for as long as I live.
See, the problem with making a comment like that is that this is a shared screen. I could make that show up
Yeah,
on the YouTube feed.
he's gonna end up seeing that whether he wants to or not.
I know. You just opened this door
Yeah.
wide the
Yeah.
fuck open. Maybe not today,
Yeah.
maybe not next week, but sometime you're going to see this video.
Yeah.
No,
Whether
Against your will. You might as well
Never.
control the situation
never. I'll fucking gouge my own eyes out,
after.
and I'll live life as a blind man.
we'll give you some Lifebuoy soap to wash out the taste
I don't know what that means.
from Christmas Story.
Oh. Yeah.
Jeez. You uncultured swine.
Never. I heard a description about what it was, and I'm like, nope. I will never, ever do that. It's a great show, though. Gotta love Chappelle.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
Woo-hoo. Better not bring your kids.
All right.
All right, we ready to close this up?
Yeah, let's
All
do
right.
it.
Thanks, everybody, for sticking with us. We love you guys. You truly are the best. And we'll
And-
see you in 2 dose weeks, as the Hispanics would say.
with a Spanish-speaking crowd.
Yes.
Wow.
Ooh,
As the
sorry.
Hispanics would say. Wow.
Am I wrong?
I mean, I guess not.
I'm broadcasting 2 languages.
Right.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
Hit the fucking SAP button on your television.
Yeah, the sidebar cantina comes to you in Espanol. All right, we're out. Thanks everybody for sticking with us. We love you. You're the best. See you in 2 weeks. Peace.
See ya.